You know, everybody always wants to see something in widescreen nowadays, especially with the fact that since technology is going as far as the 4K, the 8Ks, and all that, the common denominator is always seeing something in widescreen. Whether it's full widescreen where the entire screen is filled up, or it's in cropped widescreen. In other words, the kind of widescreen where you have two black bars on top now. And unless you have an 8K or IMAX like television or even a 4K television, that's what you're going to get. But the question is, what about the stuff that's never been in widescreen? Stuff like, let's say, shows of the past, the 80s, the 90s, even the early 2000s, the 70s. Well, that's a good question. And basically that's where HDMI comes in along with specific DVD players. You see, an HDMI cable, as you know, is basically part of its or part of the initials of HDMI is high definition or high dynamic. It gives you a better, clearer, more redefined picture of what you see. But what does it have to do with DVDs? Well, mostly when DVD came out, we were still in that period of 4:3 movies. And it didn't matter whether or not you had widescreen or you didn't. If you had a big screen TV or you didn't, you were still in that category of 4:3 movies or watching widescreen movies with the black bars. Or you had to basically use the wide option on your controller to try to get it adjusted to what you want to view the picture as. Well, HDMI basically kind of solves that problem. It takes essentially what is a 4:3 and turns it into a 16:9. A good common example is what you'll see here. My Magnavox DVD player, which I've had for some time now, has an HDMI output. What this allows us to do, or anybody to do, if they have an HDMI television, a high definition television I should say, is it allows them to connect it, and it allows them to take or view what essentially originally is a 4:3 picture or visual and be able to see it in 16:9. Not only does it clean it up just a bit, but it gives you more of that widescreen appeal. Basically what it should look like now. And that's what these HDMI cable, an HDMI DVD, and that's what a DVD player, I should say, with HDMI output does. Now, if you were to use a Blu-ray player instead as your primary defunctional default, I should say, your primary default player, and you were to put something that was originally done in 4:3, you basically get it in 4:3. You'd get black boxes on the side, but you'd get it in 4:3. And that's about it. You wouldn't get it as anything else. Unless, like I said, you use the options on your remote to try to widen the screen. Now, unless a lot of work is put into basically editing and remastering in as best they could a lot of old material from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and even the 70s, and putting it together to basically allow it to fit into, you know, a 16:9 frame, that when you sell it on Blu-ray, that you wouldn't see it in 4:3, you'd see it in 16:9. If there's a chance that would happen, then all power to them. Now, some people might ask, well, what about some shows that were in the 90s and the 80s, and all of a sudden we're seeing them like this through on-demand services and stuff? Well, that's a good question. I know that with Sonic Sat AM, these 1993 to 1995 Sonic the Hedgehog Saturday morning cartoon, that Stars/Encore on Demand is showing it basically in 16:9. The reason for that is on their end of the spectrum, they're probably playing the episodes, via the DVD set. You know, the DVD complete series set that came out in 2007. they're probably showing the episodes through that. And how they do it is they're basically doing it the same way sometimes I would want to view a DVD that I've bought or I've actually recorded off my DVD recorder in widescreen. They're using a DVD player that has that widescreen output or something like that. You know, the HDMI output. But the point being that, well, when you look at, if you've always, but basically the point is, if you've ever wondered how you'd be able to see something in 16 by 9, even though it would never be possible, especially let's say it's something that you've recorded through a DVD recorder that, ironically, let's be honest, unless they come up with a DVD or Blu-ray recorder that lets you record in HDMI, you're always going to get a 4:3 recording as of it, and the only way to view it in 16 by 9 is to use your DVD player that has HDMI output, and that's where these come in. Because basically what it does is it expands the screen, it stretches it, doesn't distort it or anything, it just basically expands it to be what HDMI is about, high definition. Like I said, it cleans it up and gives you a more fuller picture. And the same could be said for your DVD movies that you might get that are already in widescreen. The black bars that normally you would get with them, they're gone because you get a full widescreen. And that's about it. And again, that's the biggest thing when it comes to using your Blu-ray player as your default player. Yeah, you can go and use the wide option to kind of fill out the screen, but you got to admit it does feel a little off. When you use the HDMI output, basically, well, that's a completely different story. It gives you a fuller screen, basically as it should be. There's no, missing any. It basically is nothing's missing. Everything is there. You even get parts and everything, scenes or extensions of scenes that you normally wouldn't see in 4:3. So basically, if you're always wondering, how do I watch my 4:3, or how do I watch my show on DVD that I have on DVD, or I've recorded on DVD, but it's only shown in 4:3 on my Blu-ray player, how do I watch it in 16 by 9 widescreen? It's real simple. If you have just get yourself a DVD player, they're cheap nowadays, with an HDMI output, and there you go. You get it in 16 by 9 high definition, best it could be, in high definition, cleaned up and everything. And on top of that, if you have a 4K player, or maybe even an 8K player, if you can afford those, not only do you get it in that setting of 16 by 9, but you get it much clearer than you do with 1080p. I'm not saying 1080p doesn't do a good job, it does. But the point is, that's basically how you could watch a 4:3 presentation, whether it's a movie, whether it's a television show you've bought on DVD or you recorded onto DVD through a DVD recorder. This is the best way you'll be able to see it. Now you might say, well, what if we would just want to use our Blu-ray player? Well, if you have a capture device, then that will answer your question. Because yes, it will break up an episode into a couple of parts, but if you edit it carefully together, and basically render it into a format that's basically burnable, then you can burn it onto a DVD, choose, if they have it, the widescreen 16 by 9 option, and there you go. Easy as pie. But if you don't want to do that, then again, like I said, one of the best solutions is just get yourself a DVD player. They're cheap nowadays, with an HDMI output, and there you go. Because if you have a high definition television, whether it's LED or LCD or it's 4K or whatever, you want to see something in widescreen that was originally done in 4:3, because not only can you get more of the picture but maybe more clarity, that's the way of doing it. So I thought I'd just mention that to you guys, let you guys hear my thoughts on it, and let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. I'll talk to you all later.